Hey, Chris here from Frontend Guys, welcome back. So we've created a HTML form, we have connected to a database that we've set up, so let's just go ahead and jump straight into it. So what we want to do is we want to handle the submission of the form. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say if exclamation mark negates what I'm about to say. So if it's not empty, $_post. I don't need that. Then we want to do something. We want to move on with the insert, right? So what we're saying here is if it's not, so the exclamation mark negates what's next. So if it's not empty, then obviously the form has been submit. So we need to do something with that form. So I'll just do file dump of $_post. Because obviously the form has been submit. I come back over here, hit enter, and I'm just going to do a submit here, and we have title and message. They've both been set, but they're empty, right? So if I did title here, message here, click submit, now they're still set, but now they contain values. So title has been set and message has been set. So what we want to do is we want to handle this. We want to clean up the data. So I'm going to say if let's say if not empty, because we know that it's going to get set regardless. So if it's not empty, $_post title, then we want to do something. So we want to say title is now equal to HTML entities. So we're cleaning up. Why can I not type underscore? We're cleaning up title. Else, let's set an error, and let's just give it a key of title. We don't need that, but it's nice. So title is a required field. Right, so what we're saying is the form has been submit. We're checking for whether title is not empty. If it's not empty, then we can set the value to a clean version of whatever the user has submitted. Else, it is empty, and we want to set an error and say, right, title is a required field. So now that I've explained that, I'm just going to put this all on one line for readability for visibility purposes, and we're just going to do the exact same thing for message. So $_post message, and if it's set, so if it's set and it's not empty, then message is now equal to HTML entities. Let's get rid of all this. $_post message. Else, errors message equals message is a required field. Right. So now what we've done. Actually, let's just submit this form. I'll refresh over here and make sure that we've got no errors. I'm going to submit the form, and nothing happens. But let's just come over here and say, right, we know right now that if there's been a problem with either one of these, errors has been set. We don't have anything in errors until this point, so we can do a check. So before we move forward, we can say if there's no count of the errors array, then we can move forward, and we say echo move forward. Else, print _r errors. So what we're saying is, because there's nothing in this is false. This is empty. It's an empty value. So it's a 0, it's false. And because it's false, there is no count. Sorry, because it's false, there is no count, so we can move on. If there is a count, then we need to print the errors to the user. So I'm going to save this and come over here, and I'm just going to say title message and submit that, and we get the message move forward. Now I'm just going to put title in, and now I get an array, and I get message is a required field. Because there's now a count of errors, this bit isn't going to get fired, this bit will do. And if I do the other way, message, if I do this field, title is a required field. Okay, right, so now that we've got our the setup, so we can return the success will always be false if we carry on here, I'm just going to go ahead and handle the submission. So first of all, we want to create a hash. Once the user has submitted the form, we don't want them to be able to set up the hash. We could do, but it's just better for us to generate a random string. And because I'm using PHP 7, I'm just going to create a quick random byte string. Now, there's many ways you can do this. You can literally just give it a quick Google and you'll find random string generators with PHP. But if you're using later versions, you should be able to do later versions of PHP. You should be able to do this. So I'm going to say random equals random underscore bytes, and I'm going to give it a length of 15, and then I'm going to say hash equals bin2 hex random. Basically, all I'm doing here is I'm generating a random string. So I'm just going to show you this. I don't need to do that. I'm just going to echo. Echo hash. Right. So providing that there's no errors, we will get to this point. So random is random bytes, and then hash just create a hash of what we've just created up here. So reload the page, title in here, message, submit, and I've got a random string. Now if I did that again, refresh the page, because it's just going to submit those values again, I'm going to get a different hash, and again, and again, and again. I keep on going. Now that we've got our hash, we can go ahead and insert our data into our database. So I'm going to create a statement, and I'm going to say this is db prepare, and I'm going to say, not that, I'm going to insert into message. Did we call it messages? What's our table called? Messages. So insert into messages. And what do we want to insert? We want to insert some values. So we want to insert a title, a message, and a hash. And what do we want those values to be? Well, we want to bind some values to them. We don't want the user. We don't want to put the input straight into the database. So if you do this, so open your parentheses, title, what did it say? Message, and then hash. Right. Terminate that line. So what we're saying is we're going to pass in some in a value here, but don't take this value as gospel here. Don't take this as a string. We will tell you what this string is, what this value is in a second. So now I'm going to bind these parameters. I'm going to say statement bind param, right, and I'm going to bind title with title. Now title's been set up here, so this is where I'm setting it. So because we've cleaned it up, I'm going to pass this value down here and into the string. I'm going to do the same again. Statement bind param message. Again, message was cleaned up here. once we knew that it wasn't empty and the message has been submit, message was cleaned up here, so I'm passing that down here and into the string. Statement find param, and what was the last one? Hash. Right, now what we want to do, we want to say statement is equal to statement execute. Now there's plenty of ways you can do this. You can put this all into one line, and then you can actually come over here and you can do execute here. I like doing it this way for readability purposes. Now what this does, you don't necessarily need that bit there. That would work, but because we want to do some validation on it, I'm putting this in because statement now, this will return a true or a false, and a true obviously if it's been successful, and a false if it's failed for any reason. So I'm going to save that, and I'm just going to print underscore r, far dump, far underscore dump statement, or stmt. Right, so now we should just see either true or false. If it's false, then something's gone wrong with our insert. If it's true, then we know everything up until this point has been successful, and then we should be able to check our database and find out that that record. So I'm going to save this and come back over to our form, hit enter, title here, message here, submit, and we've got a true. So it's successfully gone into the database. So if I come over here, click browse, we've got title here, message here, and we've got a random hash. So that's perfect. We're on our way to finishing the form, I suppose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a quick if statement. So if statement is true, is what this is saying, then I want to say success is now equal to true, because later on down here, if it's true, then we won't show the form, but we'll handle that in a second. Now what I want to do, there's plenty of ways we can do this if there's errors, but I'm not going to do too much validation on this. So you could do something for it, because obviously we've already checked if there's a count of errors. So down here we know that errors exists, so we could do a for each, and we could do for each errors. That's not how you spell errors, Chris. As error, and then we could echo error of some sort. I've done it again, but I'm just going to keep it as simple as possible and print R. I'll let you do your own validation on how you want the errors to be returned to the user, but I'm just going to leave that one there. So here on our top level if, so if the form has been submitted, but let's also do a check here. Let's do an if else if, and say if the get variable is set $get ID, then what we want to do is echo grab message. Right. So now that we've got the form set up, it's inserting into the database. If there's been an error, it's returning it back to the users. We've not handled if there's been a database error, but I don't necessarily want to go into too much detail. Like, this is where you could check if this has been successful. If it hasn't been successful, then you could return the relevant message back to the user. I won't go. As I say, I won't drill down into that too much. We've checked if the form has been submit, and we're also checking if the ID has been if the form hasn't been submit or has been submit, but the get variable is there, we'll go and grab the message. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to put some PHP down here. yeah, I'm going to put it around this, and I'm going to say if success, actually, if there's no success, then we want to show this form. Else, we want to show something else, obviously. So if success is still false, and success is only ever true once we've inserted something into the database. Now, once success becomes true, we want to show a different message. We want to say like h1 success. Your message has been successfully added to the database. View your message here. And then what we want to do is we want to just say ID equals and hash, right? So what I've just done, I'm just going to go over this one quick time. So success is false because it's set to false up here, and it's only set to true down here. So if it is true, we're going to show a success message, and we're going to show the user how to find a message, and we're just going to send them back to the same form, same page, but with an ID, and we're going to put the hash, because hash has already been set, because where success is true here, hash has been set right next to it. So we don't need to worry about like selecting it from the database or anything like that, because we know that hash has already been set right next to where success has been set to true. So that's the success handled. If it's not successful, if a success has not been made, or success has not been set to true, then just show them the form at all times. So now I'm going to save that, come back over here, and I also want to do one quick final. Oh, actually, is it worth doing it now? No, let's just see where we're at the moment. I'm expecting some errors in a second. So, undefined error on line 52. Line 52. Undefined error. Oh. Refresh. Sorry, I had a spelling mistake. I'm sure you all looked at that and was yelling at your screens for however long. So, success. Let's submit that. Title is required. Message is required. Title. Submit. Message is required, but we've lost our message. So let's just solve that one quickly. Let's come down here, and because we set title up here to null, and we've also set it once a user has submitted the form, we can do is we can just go value equals title, and then we could just do it here as well. Message. Save that, and then now if I submit the form, it's remember title. So title, yeah, save. Yeah, it's remembered it. Okay, so I'm gonna test message. Message. Test message success. Your message has been successfully added to our database. View your message here, and as you can see in the bottom left, it's now redirecting us to localhost ID such and such and such. Now, I've just gone to the ID, and we've got grab message. Now, where did we set grab message before? We've got it here. So I'm going to end this video here because this is a slightly different turn, because now we're going to be selecting stuff from the database and we're going to be changing the form. But we've got a good 75-80% of the form done. Now we just need to select the data and make sure that that form's in the database. So as I say, I'm going to cut it off here, and I hope you join me in the next video. Thanks very much for watching.